Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. The following content may involve explicit language and materials, so listener discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, with me today is Kadra from Perplexity Podcast.
Yes, ma'am.
Time eat my dust. Whoever couldn't say it. So I usually like to take a minute at the beginning to give you the opportunity to kind of explain to those listening what you do, what you cover, and a little bit about your podcast and whatever you want us to know.
For sure. So yeah, I'm Kadra. I host Perplexity Mystery Podcast, and I cover pretty much all things mysterious. So there is some true crime in there as well, but also, of course, like the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, what have you. I love a good conspiracy theory as well, and I'm on all podcast platforms, and I'm also on YouTube.
Awesome. Yeah, go check her out. I think I follow you on pretty much everything, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. I need to make sure I follow you on everything too.
I think the only thing I don't do, I am horrible with YouTube. I'm going to have YouTube. I just got to remember, and it's just, I always forget about it because I'm never on it. I should know because my kid's on it all the time. But yeah, I always like, because when you do your stuff, how do you get like the background? When you do your posts on like Instagram, you always have like cool backgrounds.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's on Adobe Premiere. And then like you can make little templates on Canva as well. My boyfriend makes all my reels for me because he's way more tech savvy than I am, but that's what he uses.
Okay, because I have Canva. I've only done it to do merch though. I haven't done it for anything else. But
I made my merch on there too.
I stand corrected. I used Canva to make the backdrop of my image you're going to see on my YouTube.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not.
Yeah, Canva's awesome. I use it for all my thumbnails.
Yes, I'm not in it. It's literally just the picture, and then if you have an encounter experience, reach out, and then gives you my contact information, so that way people can reach out to me. But if you want to see our sexy faces, you're gonna have to be a patron.
Join, baby.
Oh yeah, because and like I usually say, it's raw. It's because I don't know how to edit the fucking videos, to be honest. It's not like I'm doing it on purpose. I just really don't know what the hell I'm doing. So until I figure it out, you're just going to get all of it. So
that's the best kind of content.
Yep. And it's got all of it. It's got all my regular episodes, assuming that we don't have technical problems because something spooky wants to be an asshole. So can you please not do that today? Thank you.
You're not invited.
Yeah, you're not invited today. Please don't. We had like our response, like a logical response to a thing we were talking about last week.
No, I think the fuck not.
Oh, so well, and then there was actually two of them. There was a kid, which I think is one of my kids, and right after that, I'm pretty sure something said like "fuck off" or "fuck you," and it was a deep, angry voice. It was not anything friendly. Damn. And it sounded like it said "mommy," and then afterwards was like "fuck off." Like this thing was trying to push its way in and get rid of him. And yeah, asshole, whatever it is, it's a douche canoe. I better be careful. Last time I started talking too much about it, I ended up with a bloody nose. So
listen, I don't care if it's a ghost. I'm gonna be fighting a bitch.
And all of my recording disappeared that day for the video. So
oh no.
But that being said, we are going to bust my conspiracy cherry today.
Hell yeah.
I know.
I'm honored.
That, huh? See, I can always fit a joke in every now and then, and I'm still trying to stop laughing because of earlier, but we're just not going to get into that.
Oh, girl.
Just one of these days, I should start doing my behind the scenes stuff and make
you
it like
should, yeah,
super high tier on my Patreon page, because we were killing it.
It was hot.
Hell yeah! I think I'm still over here perspiring in places that probably shouldn't be sweating when I'm podcasting. I need to move my. I did a little different though. So normally, what I do is pick one topic and kind of go balls deep in it and try to get as much information as I can. and bring it up. I ran across this article while I was researching, and there was a few things in it that literally had me staring at my computer screen, and I literally was like, what the absolute fuck? Like, I was yelling at my computer. I was like, what the hell is happening? Because it was awesome. Well, I mean, it was actually rather not awesome, but awesome that I found it.
I'm excited.
What I did is I found a few conspiracies that were actually proven to be true.
Cool.
So it's
that's my favorite. Yeah.
I kind of struggle with that because I'm like on the fence where I'm like, if it's proven true, is it still technically considered a conspiracy?
Right.
Or, I mean, in my opinion, no, but in these circumstances, we got to cover the shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking bananas. So basically how it's set up, just so that you know while we go through here, whatever the conspiracy theory originally was going around first. And then it goes over what the truth was in the actual event, which for the most part are more fucked up than the conspiracy itself.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. God, go ahead and dig into this biatch.
I'm ready.
All right. So, oh God. I didn't realize this one was first. So hold on to your taints because it's about to get crazy up in here. All right. Have you ever heard of Project Sunshine?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay, so a lot of people that I've actually kind of reached out and asked that, they're more into the conspiracy stuff than I am. I mean, I like it, but I'm not as in depth. So even these people that I reached out to, they hadn't even heard of Project Sunshine.
Yeah.
And they looked it up and they were just like me going, what the absolute fuck is going on?
Just typical governments doing governmenty things.
So the alternate name that Project Sunshine was referred to is the Dead Baby Project.
Oh, shit. So, okay.
During the time surrounding Nagasaki and Hiroshima, conspiracy surfaced around this Project Sunshine. The theory revolved around the concept that the U.S. government wants to measure the effects of a nuclear fallout in regards to the human body. And the theorists started spreading that the government was stealing random dead bodies to complete the testing of the, radioactive origins and what the effects are if they're exposed to certain amounts of radiation and all of that. I'm not 100% sure as to why they were looking. If it's before the bombings, my assumption would be they wanted to know how far do our troops need to be? Do we need to pull them out completely before we, roast everyone? And maybe potentially if we bomb them and they bomb us, what are we looking at? And that kind of thing. I'm not 100% sure, but it's the only thing I could come up with that made any logical sense as to why.
Okay.
But the truth is more diabolical than you could probably imagine. So the government was actually stealing body parts, so they got that right. However, they needed more youthful skin, so they decided to recruit an entire network of agents all around the globe to get their hands on recently expired babies and children. And they were then taking samples and even entire limbs without any notification or permission from the grieving parents. And this affected over 1,500 families.
The fuck are they doing?
It's something about, if I remember correctly from what little bit of this, giant ass document, the best results or more accurate, I guess, results that they were getting, they found were on younger skin. Typically, the age range they were looking at was, I believe, 0 to 20 years old, but the younger, the better. If there was a stillbirth, or say some kid died of SIDS or a drop or shaken baby or whatever the case may be, these fuckers were going in without the parents' permission and basically either taking tissue samples or taking a whole fucking limb to take it back and test it.
That's disgusting.
Isn't that?
So it was to see radiation
it was to
results?
See basically the response that the human body would have when exposed to different amounts of radiation.
Gotcha. Okay. So they kind of wanted like different ages. So they would have different skin,
They
progressions.
they preferred the younger ones because of the reaction rate and all of that. I just that's what got me.
And doing that without the parents' consent too. I've heard of similar things with hospitals having ties to like black market types of things. Like in China, they had ghost marriages where you could marry a ghost, right? And so they were finding people that would like have ties to hospitals, and they would get a lot of bodies from the morgue for the marriages.
Yeah, well, some of them would sell, like they would purchase ghost spouses for them, or some of them like they were literally putting people down to have the ghost marriage.
Oh yeah. There's a guy who murdered a bunch of people for it.
Okay, so this says that it affected 1,500 families. But let's just imagine for a second, we live in a shit world, because we do, and your baby dies and it goes to autopsy or the funeral home or wherever this thing goes. And you opt to have your kid cremated. One, are any of those fucking ashes you get back your baby?
Right.
Two, they could go in there, hacksaw the freaking arm off, and then whatever, and give it to you. You would never know. So how many families were affected that didn't even pick it up?
Yeah. No, and like that has certainly happened and been proven to have happened in other stories. People getting arrested in like funeral homes for cremating bodies. And then like basically one body goes in, another body comes out, and they're cycling the ashes. Yeah. And then they're just like selling the parts. So the ashes you get are somebody else's. It's fucked.
Wrong with people?
Like, they make everything a business. It's disgusting.
Ugh. Okay. I had my
Yeah, that's awful. Damn. Yeah, I had never heard of Project Sunshine though.
Yeah, it's totally. And actually, so they were studying one element in particular. I cannot remember the name of it because it's probably some really like thing, but it was specifically like 1950s, 1960s nuclear weapon ingredient, I guess.
Yeah, just ways to weaponize everything. Yeah. And what was that, like World War II, that time period?
I'm horrible with history. I just know it was before. It was right around the Nagasaki stuff.
Okay.
One or two. Shit, I don't fucking know. I'm gonna
I think 50s, 60s is World War II times, and that's when like tons of shit was going on with government projects.
So I can't even remember anybody's birthday, let alone when anything else is happening. The next one, proven to be true, is called Bad Booze. And I know a lot of people have heard of this one, actually. People believe that during the Prohibition, alcohol was laced with poison to keep people from drinking it.
Oh.
And it was later found that manufacturers of industrial alcohol had already been putting dangerous chemicals in years before Prohibition. What people were doing was, because alcohol, even when it was legal, was priced higher, they would go out and they would develop these contracts with like the industrial, like, you know, you work for a cleaning company and you need this alcohol, or a hospital or whatever. And they would get these bulk industrial vats of alcohol, and they would break it down so that it could be distilled into illegal alcohol. And it was much cheaper. So what they were doing is they started lacing it with poison, trying to deter people from purchasing it to then just, still it themselves.
Gotcha. Okay. So another way to just make money.
Yeah. So, well, this was actually to prevent, these were people trying to prevent it. So the government then aggressively encouraged the use of stronger poisons to be added to keep people from turning it into moonshine. Over 10,000 Americans died from drinking the tainted booze after the change. They were trying to deter people from drinking alcohol illegally. Makes sense somewhat. On the other hand, I wonder how many rehab facilities they had back then. Probably none.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
How many resources were available to these people that had an addiction? Probably none.
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck did you expect? But at least this one was not endangering people to make a profit from the government standpoint, because they didn't make any profit. They were actually probably losing money with the prohibition.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, not 100% sure. There probably was some backdoor government distilleries or whatever, distilleries, whatever the fuck they're called. Moonshine cabins. All right. So this is another one that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. Government mind control has been a hot topic for a while. Many thought the CIA was testing the effects of LSD as well as other hallucinogenic drugs on unknowing Americans to try and modify their behavior. And the truth of the program, which is now everybody knows MK Ultra, CIA initially took volunteers, but very quickly decided to start dosing people who didn't know they were getting dosed. And the experiments left many victims with permanent mental disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
No fucking way to get help.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to this story. This one is fucked. And this was the first conspiracy theory that I ever really went down a rabbit hole with. And wow. Yeah, it's pretty horrifying.
I struggle with it because it says they started with volunteers. So if they had volunteers, why the fuck would they dose people that didn't know they were being dosed?
So they wanted to see the effects of LSD and see if they were different effects in people who did not know that they were being dosed.
So like a back ass words placebo.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it started off with the CIA agents volunteering to be dosed. And then it turned into, well, let's also dose agents without them knowing. And then they would also bring in random people from the street and dose them as well. They had this one project, I think it was called Project Midnight or Project Climax. And so they would bring in, they would bring in these sex workers.
I wish I had Project Climax over here.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Well, this one's not what you think it is. They would bring in sex workers, and the sex workers would bring in clientele, and the clientele, would want to have sex with these sex workers, obviously, but they're in this controlled room, and the sex workers would dose the clientele's drinks with LSD, and then they would drink that, and they would be unknowingly drugged, right? So then it was just testing the results in all these different variables of how does LSD affect the mind? Is it any different if you know you're being dosed or not?
So did they still have sex with them?
That was unclear. I don't know.
Maybe it was Project Climax and they wanted to know if it had an effect on how great it was.
Yeah, I don't know what happened after that, but it was basically a bunch of little side projects within MK Ultra, but it was all about LSD. Well, and the whole concept was can we use this as a mind control substance, or can it help us make super soldiers for the war and for espionage efforts? Because this was during the Cold War.
So were they trying to drug them and then persuade them to do things, or is it more of a sleeper agent type of situation? Or
I don't think they really knew, to be completely fucking honest. I think they were just let's see what happens.
What if it's you're all tripped out and they're feeding you all this stuff about this government agency is out to get you and they're bugging your phone and you're tripping balls. And so whenever when you come down, you're oh shit, someone's watching me.
Yeah, I think it definitely the results did make people paranoid. And also this LSD was not the LSD we have today. It was incredibly concentrated.
Oh shit.
It was not regulated correctly. They had never used it before. And then they were doing that combining with electroshock in some of the patients that had so the ones you said that were left with they were in a vegetative state, or they would go back to the mental capacity of a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. Those were people who often were dosed with LSD and these insanely concentrated amounts every single day. They were often people in mental institutions, and they would have extremely high levels of electroshock.
I got so many questions about that.
It's so fucked up.
If they're in a mental institution, do they take them off of their actual medication? Or are they just
I don't know.
it on? Because that could be extra bad news bears.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I really don't know. I think they saw those people as disposable and that
Ugh.
they could get away with experimenting with them, kind of like Tuskegee experiments, different
Oh,
experiments they've done in prisons. Incredibly sad.
I'm an asshole. We're not going to get into that one. So this next one I was really surprised by.
Mm.
I'm totally an ignoramus, but you might have heard of it. The next theory is that the Dalai Lama was a CIA agent. Oh no, just please hold. In fact,
What the fuck?
oh no, just wait, because you're gonna. I was a little dumbfounded here. The Dalai Lama received $180,000 from the CIA's funding of the Tibetan resistance that totaled $1.7 million every year. This dude was getting
Okay.
paid $180,000 a year and then getting money to this Tibetan resistance. So, and he was like the biggest influential person to those people back, whatever. So I don't know if he could have technically been a CIA agent, but he was for sure working for the man. And
I could
I
see
did
it.
not at all expect that.
Well, and he was like very, personable and all about like peace, right? So it was just, I feel like he would be someone who could easily build trust with the public, and they would like, that's the last thing you would expect
I just thought
from
he was
him on the
a man of the
surface.
cloth. And fuck, I'll put on a robe and kiss some ass to get $180,000 a year.
Yeah. Hey,
hell, I'm already
I support
celibate.
scamming.
Oh, Jesus. All right. So the next one is that the government is spying on everyone. Before I go into this, what do you think?
It's a double-edged sword for me because I feel like a lot of the things that we do, they don't care about, and they simply don't have the resources or time to spy on everything. But there's definitely been situations, including like during Project MK Ultra time period and like, the Watergate scandal and all of that. Like, we know that the government has spied on us before. That has literally been proven. So I wouldn't put it past them to still be doing it now.
So in my personal thoughts are, if we were still back in that era, there's no way in hell. However, in this day and age, with all the AI and like, think about it, when you Google, I don't know, pancakes, all this crap comes up because it's looking for pancakes, right? So they could very easily be listening to everything we're saying right now. I'm probably going to do a list after the end of the night, but or anything you type, or everything, they can filter it in. They don't need a person anymore, so to speak, to look at it. It could get flagged and then go through some sort of filtration process to where then a human being would be like, assessing the risk. But I think they can look a lot more now than they used to.
Yeah.
Just the AI. And I mean, think about it. Anytime you open any app, I mean, you've got to give them permissions.
Mm-hmm.
Where's it going?
Well, and no one's reading those agreements. Let's be real.
Exactly. Who the fuck
Terms and conditions.
Pages? Yeah. So I think it's very possible that this is a thing.
Yeah, no, I believe it. And we have so much technology now. And then also, like, the government has so much technology that we don't even have access to. So it would not surprise me.
I'm going to back up and not go down the UFO train. I'll be a good girl and I'll back the fuck up. But those being said, the theory states that the government is using the advancements in technology to track unsuspecting citizens. And in reality, agencies sent almost 50,000 requests for user data from Facebook alone, 28,000 from Google, and 9,000 from Apple. And I did not look to see what the date was on this site, so I don't know how long ago that was. But they're pulling it.
It's bothering me because I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this documentary. And documentaries can be very biased, but there was a Netflix documentary that I saw like years ago, and it was about basically how Russia was impacting our social media and polarizing us. And it caused like a lot of polarization leading up to like voting time.
Yeah, so let's
And
just look at the election.
fuck, I cannot remember it. It's been so long since I watched it. The different ads and things that they would like put on everyone's news feeds, and then the timing of it, and how
or
it
the
like
things that they weren't putting on the news feeds,
mm.
which is more important than the stuff probably that they put on the news feed.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'd like to know if somebody's, in bed with someone across the pond.
Oh.
Anyway, we're going to get political over here. So we're just going to keep on moving. We're talking
All
about
right.
Bob Stallone. Damn you, Bob Stallone. I have no idea. All right. So then, believe it or not, people believed that the Canadian government was so absolutely paranoid about homosexuality, like in the community, that they developed an actual machine called the gaydar.
Wait, this is crazy because this is not this exact thing, but the episode that I have coming out this week is about a serial killer in Toronto who targeted gay men. And they did this whole research about how like the police seriously downplayed the murders and like had a lot of homophobic tendencies and were, I mean, as is common in other policing, but it's just like, what are the chances? So they developed a gaydar?
They literally called it the gaydar.
Wow.
It's funny that that's stuck, isn't it? Now, here's the interesting piece. The truth is, the government employed a professor at a university in the 1960s, and the goal was to develop a way to detect homosexuality in federal employees.
Wow.
The professor actually created a fucking machine.
Stop.
That measured pupil dilation as a response to same-sex porn.
What?
So the Canadian government then used the machine to exclude or fire more than 400 men from civil service duties, the military, and the Mounties.
Oh so my God.
It was so it's kind of like a pupil version of a polygraph machine. And what they would do is they would flash different porn pictures in front of your face. And supposedly, if your eyes dilated or whatever, that would insinuate that you were enjoying what you were looking at. So they would like mix up like heterosexual, and I wonder if they do some donkey shit in there, but whatever. They would put like, and I'm assuming they only used gay porn. I don't think, because it only says men. I'm assuming women weren't allowed. Women just couldn't be lesbians, I guess. I don't know.
Impossible.
Hey, man.
Women can only like men. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want someone who knows how to eat a taco, you go to Mexico. I'm just saying. Sounds a little racist, but it was just a joke. Sorry, guys.
All good.
I think I offended 3 groups there, and it was literally just a joke. But yeah, so I just thought that was really interesting that they actually came up with a machine and used it to fire people from the federal government.
Yeah, wow. That's actually really funny because have you watched The Office?
Oh my God, I love The Office.
Do you remember the episode where Michael is asking Dwight to find a gaydar?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I remember watching that and thinking like the way this would never be real and never actually happen. Like this is so funny and like mythological, and then like
surprise,
or mythical, excuse me. And then this is real.
Yep, it's legit.
It's crazy like how people can be so homophobic that they feel the need to develop technology like this. Like when was this? Do you know when that was?
So the professor was hired in the 60s, but it didn't give me the
yeah,
date.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
if they did that like in the 90s or 2000s, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm wondering is what other emotions cause your pupils to dilate where they might have,
well, like fear.
Oh my
fear
gosh,
literally does that.
So you're homophobic, you get hooked to this gaydar, and then they fire you because they
right, or like a really religious person, right? And they're like so anti-porn, right? And then they put this on and they're like, oh my God. So then they're like scared and their pupils dilate and they're like, you're gay.
Oh, Me, I'd be
That's crazy.
Sir, can we go back to slide number 7? Slide number 7? Okay, now 11. Can I just get this in a calendar, please?
If you could just mail this to me on a VHS.
Oh, I got it. Rolodex. Get those old Rolodexes.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Rolodex.
2060s.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, damn.
You could be like anal to A's, and it's like, boom, it's right there.
It's all alphabetized.
Yeah.
D for donkey. It's in there.
Shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no, that's crazy. There's so many of those that I never heard of.
Yep. So I actually have 2 left.
Hit me with it.
All right. So big one states that there is a secret society that rules the world and is in bed with the U.S. National Security Agency.
Okay.
In reality, there is supposedly a literal link between the 2 websites. Rumor has it, if you type in Illuminati backwards in the search bar, you'll arrive at the NSA's website. I did not try it.
Wait, why didn't you try it?
I mean, I'm already probably going to be on a list. I don't want to make it worse.
On a watch list?
Going up.
Okay, I'm trying now when we get off this call.
Okay. You have to let me know how it goes.
I will. I'll message you.
So,
okay, wait. So hold on. You put Illuminati, Jesus, backwards in the search? Like just the word, not .com or anything?
Well, that's all it said.
I'm going to look it up and I'll try it.
Try both.
It's worth the risk.
All right. So
wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. This last one, I kind of knew a little bit about it, but it's so appalling to me that I put it in here anyway. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment.
Ah, there we go. Yeah.
Yep. Unbelievably, in 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service joined the Tuskegee Institute to conjure a fake-ass syphilis treatment program. The experiment consisted of lying to about 400 African-American men that had previously been diagnosed with syphilis.
Mm-hmm.
The experiment was only intended to last no more than 6 months. Unfortunately, the public was not made aware of the testing and research until 1972. So much for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was then that the government had no choice but to investigate and shut down the program. But during this active time frame, these men were supplied with dangerous chemicals. Researchers then would offer brutal and unnecessary medical procedures, claiming that they were part of the treatment plan.
Yep.
And the patients were also kept completely in the dark about the development and usefulness of penicillin, or that they could be cured, just so they could learn more about the progression of the disease. And they actually had one man, I believe, I read it somewhere or saw it on a documentary, that he was technically, quote unquote, in the program for 40 years till the day he died.
Yeah, because so I mean, a lot of them were prisoners, right?
Huh?
A lot of them were prisoners, right?
So, no, this one, all it said was they were 400 African-American men.
My understanding is like a lot of the victims were in prison, like they had committed crimes, and again, like people that society saw as disposable. So they were like, a lot of them were in jail. They didn't have anywhere they were going to go. And so like maybe he had committed, I don't know, but if he was being experimented on 40 years, my first thought is maybe he was a prisoner.
I mean, maybe, but you got to think too, it say he was a homeless man.
Mm-hmm.
And they found him. They just happened to know that he got diagnosed with syphilis. And they're like, hey, come stay in this treatment facility. He probably, fuck yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I wouldn't put it past them. That's just something I need to research more. I've like obviously heard of Tuskegee, and I know some anecdotal things about it. But I just know a couple anecdotal things about it. But that's one of the things that I heard is a lot of them were prisoners, and also heard that like some of the experiments would be like castrating them, or for whatever reason, a lot of things with like their genitalia were experimented on.
Really?
That's what I've heard. Don't quote me on that last one.
What I was reading about was they did a lot of brain scans and stuff, because that's when they found out that syphilis could like eat your brain and make you seem crazy. But yeah, so which one of these do you think is probably the most shocking?
That's That's a little tough because they're all really fucked up, obviously. I'm a little biased because I know the most about MK Ultra, but I would still probably go MK Ultra. I need to like read about these other ones more, but MK Ultra, a lot of the so the way that this got leaked, right, is that a lot of the documents, because they documented everything they did, went to this. Do what?
That's good at least.
Yeah, but it was funny because Project MK Ultra was never supposed to be something that we, the public, found out about. Oh. And a lot of the documents were taken to this warehouse to be like classified, but whoever was in charge of filing everything fucked up, and they like misfiled all of the confidential documents. And then they went to this warehouse that could be accessed by the public. And then people used the Freedom of Information Act. They used the Freedom of Information Act to gain access to all of these documents that were never supposed to be found, have the experiments in detail, like thousands of pages of what they did. So I think that one's just very fascinating and also very frustrating because it never went anywhere. It didn't fucking do anything. And not that these other ones really did either, but just the thought of drugging someone without their consent, wanting to use it in war and weaponize it, and then just how much money was put into it too, and how much time. Like MK Ultra went on for I think like 20 years, something like that, and all over the world. Like they had experiments they did internationally, like just super fucked. So that'd probably be my one. That's my long-winded answer.
So I have a thought. Maybe it did do something. And
yeah. I love conversations like that. Yeah.
After maybe the LSD on the street miraculously got more potent and more deadly, and they used it as population control.
Ooh, yeah, that I wouldn't put it past them.
Because who looks at those? You know what I mean? Who looks at them?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, it's one theory. I mean, I can't think of really anything else.
What about you? Which one do you think is like the most fucked?
Project Sunshine is the
Project Sunshine. Yeah, that's definitely like my second for sure. I just I want to read more about it because I really had never heard of that one. I feel like I've heard of something similar, but
we talked about it. I was on with Paranoid American yesterday, and when we were talking, I had brought up, and he hadn't heard of it either. So we were, together, and he had pulled up the, documentation, and we were reading through it like together, and it was bananas. I mean, because we were both looking at it, and it was even more so than like I said, I mean, it had equations and charts, and I mean, we had all of it. We didn't go through the whole thing, obviously, because we were talking that long, but we were just reading about the age groups and the fact that people had no idea.
Are there any allegations that they killed people and used those bodies in order to do the experiments, or were these people who were already dead as far as we know?
As far as I know from what I read, it was people that had been recently deceased.
Okay. That's like my one caveat. I think that's why I picked MK Ultra, because it's still super fucked, but it's like they were dead. So I put it like slightly underneath, but I don't know. That's just me.
What got me was they targeted babies.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no,
that's
it's
what
horrific.
Kind of got me because, and I think that, like I said, they were doing, deceased because they came up with this whole network like around the globe. I don't think that they needed to start, killing people, because there's so many people dying.
Yeah. Well, that's all of these at the end of the day, in my opinion, is like, you literally did not need to do that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I was really pretty shocked about the Dalai Lama.
Yeah. Again, another one I need to look at more.
Yeah. I was just
interesting.
What the what? Wow. I was like, I bet you he didn't donate any of that money.
I know you said you normally cover like one topic at a time, but I like ones like this where it's like a little bit of everything, and it's just like, okay, now I know some little tidbits about all these different conspiracies.
Yeah, and I liked it too because like while I was going through it, I mean, there's some on there that I probably would not deep dive into, but there's some where I'm like, you know what, I might, make that one a whole episode on its own.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And I just wouldn't have come across it had I not done these like little ones that were in there.
I've
And
covered a couple
too,
others that are really interesting. If you ever want to look at like Plum Island is
yes,
really interesting.
I've heard about that one. That was on a documentary I watched.
I love that one.
Well, then there's the Nazis in Antarctica or whatever.
Is that Project High Jump or is that a different one? There's one called Project High Jump that happened in Antarctica.
Well, supposedly they're still there.
Yeah, that might be Project High Jump, but I don't know. I could totally be wrong right now.
I don't know.
Project Blue Book is really interesting if you want a UFO one.
Yep, there's that one. Some of them it's just I like I think maybe I like the shorter ones whenever it's like they're proven. I could just be like, here's what it was, here's what it is. Yeah. Or here's what they thought it was, and here's what it is. But as far as contemplating and going back and forth, I want something that's not been proven. That's why we went to Stargate, but I was like, we already we know Stargate was real. We know they did it. So I'm like, I don't, there's no speculation, I guess.
Well, okay. So Project Stargate, right? The speculation lies in that they say that they couldn't find anything useful from it.
Oh, I think they did.
So then they stopped doing the experiments allegedly in, I think, 95. And the CIA allegedly stopped funding it. But we know that in MK Ultra, they several times said that they weren't going to do it anymore, and they kept secretly funding it, which came out later. So I mean, that's one of the things is they could have kept funding it. And then the other thing is like Project Stargate was quote unquote declassified, but when you read the documents, the data is useless and everything's extremely vague. So a lot of people think that they've only released what they want us to see, if that makes sense. So there is some mystery behind that one, in my opinion.
I mean, I think honestly, I think they found stuff, and their accuracy rate was actually rather surprising, in my opinion. It was a lot.
Their accuracy for what?
Instead of just diving in and using them in these projects or whatever, like they'd have a person that they thought, or the person thought, or whatever, that they had these abilities, so they would test them and see their accuracy rate before they actually got them into the program. And it was still pretty low. I mean, it was only, I think it was under 25%, I think. But to me, I think it was between 10 and 25%. But to me, that's a lot better than, honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that high.
So they would have them, like, I guess, just test their clairvoyancy and see how many things they were right about. And the average was 25%.
I think it's what the thing was saying. They'd have them, like, put stuff in different, like, things they knew that was in different locations, or I don't know if they did. I have to look and see if I can find anything that specifies what they did to test them. But I think some of the stuff was kind of like, you have a note card and what's on the other side of the note card, or whatever, and that kind of stuff. I don't think it was super thorough.
Okay.
But I say I'd like to kind of dig into that part just to kind of see.
Yeah. That'd be really interesting.
They have that accuracy rate, and I'm like, well, how would they know that if they didn't test them?
Right. If you haven't heard of Lady Wonder, that's a really, really interesting one. And it's the clairvoyancy, but it's with an animal. So it was this allegedly clairvoyant horse. Yeah, it's super, super interesting. But yeah, the horse's name was Lady Wonder. And her accuracy was like 85, 90% allegedly. Yeah. So like she had this trainer, right? That trained her to, like the dogs with the buttons that can communicate different words. It was like that, but like the 1800s version of it with like these little metal, what was it? Like levers kind of. So she could like hit different ones and they meant different things. And she would do stuff like that where people would come from all over the world to meet Lady Wonder and they could ask her whatever question they wanted. And time again, she would answer correctly. And it would be like things that no one could know except that person. And she's also really smart. Like she could do math and all kinds of stuff. So it's a really fun story. That'd be a good one for you to look at.
I'm gonna have to put that one on the list. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Lady Wonder. It's fucking cool. I want to cover it too.
That's super awesome. But yeah, so that's the end of what I've got on here so far.
This was so much fun.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. And I want to make sure I say thank you again for joining me and going over these. It was absolute blast.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for inviting me too.
All right, awesome. So, as I go through stuff, I might have to hit you up again and see if you want to. Maybe I
love a cryptid.
I love it. Well, I have some in the backlog ready to go. So
cool. Yeah, let me know.
Yes, I might have to hook you up.
Yeah, I would love that.
But yeah, everybody, again, go over there, Perplexity Podcast, check her out, YouTube, all the social media stuff. Give her some love, give her some listens. And,
yes, please.
Yeah,
and get on Natasha's Patreon.
Yeah. Then you can see both of us.
Yes, you can see my creepy background and my Fresno Nightcrawler over here.
Fresno Nightcrawler. So I have, when I went to CryptidCon, I got this felt, like this lady hand makes these felt, and she had all kinds of, she had Mothman, like all kinds of them. And she had the cutest one with the Fresno Nightcrawlers. Of course, I had my Nightcrawler shirt on.
Cute.
And I had to get it because he's like, looks like he's doing a little dance, like his little knees are bent, and he's doing a little jig. But I keep leaving it out in the shed because I'm afraid if I bring it in, the animals are going to try to eat it.
Yeah, this room's closed off from my pets because it's like my recording room, and then it's also the guest room. So if like the dog or the cat come in here, the sheets get all dirty and stuff. So this room is away from them. Otherwise, they would eat these up.
I need a room like that. All our rooms are occupado. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I guess everybody take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you listen. This is more beneficial than you may know and will help others locate the podcast. Don't forget to check out my Patreon page as well. We currently have 2 tiers. The Snallygaster tier that'll get you unedited bonus audio, a sticker, a shout out on the podcast, and access to the private Discord server. The second tier is the Phantom tier, and that'll get you all of the benefits of the Snallygaster tier, plus access to live streams and Q&A sessions, and is the only place you can access all video footage from regular episodes as well as the Patreon exclusive episodes. You can subscribe today at patreon.com/cryptids, creeps, and conspiracy. Don't forget to head over to the TeePublic website and take a look at a variety of merch options that are available. You can also find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, X, and YouTube. All of these links can be found in the description of this episode under the Linktree hyperlink. Until next time, my friends, dare to believe.